How does Apple manage its suppliers? I'm going to take you through. I went through all the PowerPoint slides, and I think there is 14 items. So, number one, here is the big thing. Remember I told you earlier, there was this Chinese company that went to Motorola how many times? 3 times, exactly. And on the 3rd time, they hit the jackpot. What's the jackpot? Become approved supplier. What does that mean? When you become approved supplier, you're going to get orders. You make money from those orders. When you become approved supplier, you might be able to sell to other countries, other international customers, because they know you're an approved supplier of a mainstream brand name. One of the multiple choice questions was about that, am I right? Ah, some of you are nodding, you know you got that right. Yes. Ah, okay. So, this was the company that went to Motorola 3 times back in the late 1990s, early 2000s. What is the name of that company? Samsung? Name of the company, please. Have a look. If that's not a hint, what's the name of the company? It went to Motorola 3 times. Close. At least someone knows what this looks like. This is a car, all right? Today, it's a major brand name. It's a major brand name, and it's the largest manufacturer of electric vehicles in the world. Pardon? BYD, yes. So I want you to think. Let's go back 19 years, and BYD was a little battery manufacturer like that. That's all. That's what they made. That's all. They went to Motorola 3 times. Motorola rejected them on the 1st, 2nd time. On the 3rd time, they become approved. What was Motorola doing for BYD?
Opening their doors for the roads.
Why did Motorola reject BYD on the first 2 times? Quality didn't meet the criteria. They didn't have the right operation standards in order. And on the 3rd time, yes, they did. So what did Motorola do for BYD? Motorola was the teacher of BYD. A teacher. Learning doesn't stop when you leave university. Okay? Companies teach other companies. BYD. Battery manufacturer to the largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the world. Quite an accomplishment. Motorola gave them that chance. That's how special winning the lottery is. Getting that approved supplier is not just about making money as approved supplier. It's about giving you the opportunity to actually take your manufacturing to a world-class level. And that's what happened with BYD. BYD, short for Build Your Dreams. Ah, wow. Okay, number 1. Number 2, let's talk about the list of Apple suppliers. How many of you know Corning? Stay with me. I will speed up if you are getting bored. How many of you know Corning? What do Corning do?
The glasses.
Yeah, where's our glass? Over here. Please, thank you. Glass. That's plastic. All right, this is glass. All right? This is Gorilla Glass. You can bend it. Okay? Glass is bendable. All right, Corning, interestingly, Corning is a major US supplier of glass. They made the Gorilla Glass. Apple said to Corning, I want you to supply our assembly in China. And what Apple does is go to Corning and then buy the glass from Corning, and then they sell it to the assembly in China, and they make a little money on that trade. They do that? Yes, they do. They can do that. Apple has the power to do that. All right? It's not like the assembly operation is going to Corning secretly from Apple to get that source glass. Right? Apple is telling the assembly, oh, you will buy it from Corning. So that's Corning. Next. Go to next, all right? And what does that mean? That's what we call vertical integration. Okay? That's where you don't just buy and outsource from someone that you partially know and you trust. No, you actually control that person. You control that company. Apple controls Corning because it's buying directly from Corning. And then Apple is a middle person between Corning and the assembler in China. Wow. That is an unusual practice. But that's a practice in order to achieve. Why do you vertical integrate? Why would you do that? So you can have what?
Control.
Control, exactly. That's all. Control. Control is what Apple's all about. That's gone, that one. Okay. Number 2, vertical integration. Let's keep going here. We've got 14 items. Number 3, remember 2 weeks ago, remember what this is all about? TDQSC, that is the performance measurement system. Apple uses that. HTC uses that. All the manufacturers, all the multinationals use a performance measurement system. It's a way of getting the procurement team under control, under agreement. Number 3, performance measurement system. It's a reminder of the strategy that the group talked about 2 weeks ago. So to keep that in mind. Now, which one of these is Apple? Which one? Question to you, class, so stay with me. Which one? Hands up for A. Hands up for B. C. No, that's PQA. D. E. HTC. F. Motorola. Okay, this is Apple here. So when I talk to Apple, I say, oh, so TDQSC, fine. Okay, which is most important? They said, oh, technology and quality. I said, but which one's most important? They're both important. It's a mindset. This is a mindset that of the culture in Apple. No compromise. No compromise. Why technology?
Because they're a tech firm.
They're a tech firm, yeah. Go back to that graph of the smartphone market I showed you 15 minutes ago. There's so many that were here yesterday and gone today. You've got to fast. Everything is evolving so fast. So you cannot not have a technology focus, all right? Because the market is going very, very fast. Product development life cycle, how many months are we talking about? How many months?
3.
Close, 3 months. What have we got over here?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. Come on, HTC 5, HTC group, come on. Where's our HTC group? How many months?
6.
They studied HTC. And they still can't get it right, but okay, all right. 7 months. 7 months, all right. Close. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, number 4, okay, that was the performance measurement system. Number 4th idea. Are you ready? Number 4th idea is about supplier selection. All right, they focus on technology capability. They will go to a supplier. A supplier will say, oh, we've got the latest technology. And Apple will say to them, okay, you have you? Okay, you invest first the millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars, and then we'll decide if we will buy from you. They do that. They don't take risk unless they really believe in that technology. And that's what happened here. That's what happened here. What is this? It's a hand. All right, pay attention. All right? Yeah, this is a trackpad. How many of you have got you've got one of these? Can I throw this around me? No, you don't allow me to, all right? Okay, all right? So it's a trackpad. You can touch that, right? So Apple found a supplier that it just had that capacitive. You know, you just touch it. It's good, isn't it? The touch. It was just superior to everything else on the market. And that supplier, at the time that Apple found that supplier with that technology, only had another keyword, yield. Yeah, what about the yield? What did we say about that 2 weeks ago? Remember, yield is a big thing. Remember? That supplier only had a little amount of yield. Would someone like to give me a number? 1%, a little bit higher. 5%, a little bit higher. 10%, a little bit lower. 8%, 8. They only had 8% yield. Can you imagine? Here's a supplier with this new technology, this trackpad. You're using it, and they go to Apple. Oh, we've got this technology, but you know, every 100 of these pads we make, we throw away 92 of them. That's what 8% yield means. Class, you with me here? Any other technology, any other time, Apple will say, go jump in the lake. Okay? 8% yield. Like, it's not worth making. All right? But Apple saw the technology. They saw the difference of that. Is it beautiful to touch? Can I touch it? Oh, it's beautiful. All right? All right? No, but it's just so special. It's so different from everything else on the market at the time. And then Apple then invested with that supplier. They said, supplier, your technology, that is ours. We are working with you. Even with 8% yield. And so Apple worked with that supplier to get their yields up so they can make the hundreds of thousands of units that Apple needed. Okay? So for most suppliers, Apple will say, oh, go away, you prove yourself, and then we'll decide. But when they saw that this technology was so different from anything else out, they said, oh, we've got to have that. Okay? All right? So that's very special. That's very, very interesting. And then they'll go into the supplier and they'll say, oh, the supplier will say, oh, we've got ISO 9000. Apple will say, yeah, we don't care about that. We're sending our engineers to your factory and we want to watch you to run at rate. We want to see you manufacture what you say you can manufacture. And we're going to watch you. They don't care about documentation. Some of their competitors just say, oh, you got ISO 9000? Okay, you're good. Okay? But Apple, nope, we've got to visit. FAE, Field Application Engineering. Okay, let's keep moving here. All right, so that was number 4, 8% yield. Remember, number 5, this gets better. All right, the generic components for iPad, they are very, very particular when they go to the supplier. Oh, can we see your production? Okay, are you running some? Yes, let's go and watch you produce. So now, oh, can we see your management system? Like management system, what's that got to do with the component you're making? It has everything to do with it because it tells Apple about the culture of control and management in the supplier. How do I know that? Because I had the opportunity to go and interview the owner of 3L Coils. Taiwanese supplier to Apple, to the iPad. They make inductors. How many of you know what an inductor is? Ginny, you know what an inductor is, don't you? Okay. It changes the current. It enables to build it up, and then it will let it go through. So it stops surge going through the lines. Okay. A lot of electronics has either have inductors, diodes, transistors, or capacitors. There's only about 5 different types of components. 5 different ways in which electronics are manipulated in a circuit. Ginny, about right? Yeah, okay, all right. This is not an engineering lesson, but I did go to 3L Coils, and this was the owner was telling me, Apple came to them, they wanted to see the management system, and he said, oh, no problem, come and have a look, I'll tell you all about it. Because he had a balanced scorecard. He had a balanced scorecard! This is a supplier, and he was so proud, so he showed us the balanced scorecard. Like, balanced scorecard meaning that, you know, they look at the accounting and non-accounting performance measures. They're balancing the financial, non-financial, the past versus the present performance. They're balancing the measurement of many things in the operations. Okay, so Apple looks at that. Okay, then I was talking to one of the procurement team, one of the engineers that work with the procurement team in Apple, in Shenzhen. And I said, oh, okay, all right, so this is your smartphone. Okay, all right, so this is your Apple iPhone. Okay, so, okay, let's have a look at what's critical and what's not critical, you know. What about, is the battery critical? Critical. What about the case? Critical. What about screen? Critical. What about buttons on the side? Critical. And what about the earphone plug? Oh, critical. And I'm thinking, is there anything not critical? He said, the packaging. The packaging. That was the response. Their mentality in working with all the component suppliers is that everything is critical. Everything. There's no, there's critical and non-critical. All right? It was just this mentality that if it's critical, then you go pay attention to it. And we want to pay attention to every component that goes into the smartphone. Okay, what about colour? The right colour has to be used. So I've got to, are you ready? I'm going to test you now, because I'm going to show you 2 colours, and you need to tell me which is different. Okay, are you ready? You ready? Paying attention? Okay, all right, 2 colours. You need to tell me, okay, which one is blacker, which one is darker. Hands up for, take your time, have a look. All right, make sure you're sure about this. Hands up for A. Hands up for B. Okay, you're both right. Okay, there's no difference. All right, but here's a real story. Because I was talking to an engineering manager of Bayer. How many of you know of Bayer? Bayer, you know Bayer. You know Bayer, German company, right? Yes. All right. You know B-A-Y-E-R, right? Bayer. Okay. Bayer supply the paint. The paint. Okay. The covering, the colour of the paint that goes on here. Okay. So they tender to Apple to say, they asked Apple, okay, what are your engineering specifications for colour? You can do the Pantene colour, and you know you can get really perfect. Am I right, Ginny? All right, you get it right? The colour, right? Perfect, right? Okay, so Bayer came up with that colour. Then they showed it to Apple. This is white. They were talking about that. Apple needed a certain kind of white on their computer. And then Bayer came to him and said, okay, here's the white. We've got exactly what you wanted. And you know what Apple said to them? Sorry, that's not the white that we are looking for. All right. The engineering spec was right, but it wasn't the white that they wanted. All right. They were just so fastidious about colour, all right? The management system, everything about what component suppliers bring to the table. So number 5, I want to go on now, and we've got to move on quickly. Remember, negotiations. I told you about that, but we go to number 7. Number 7, are you ready? Number 7, and this is an interactive game. I want you in your groups to tell me right now, what is the one thing suppliers do not want to share with you? In your groups, before you yell it out. One thing. Multiple choice here. Aren't you glad I didn't give you 8 choices in the test? All right. What is the one thing that suppliers do not want to share? We discussed this briefly in prior weeks. This is really, really, really critical. One thing that suppliers do not want to share. This is a game. This is an information game. Quick, are you ready? Because got to go fast here. Are all groups done? Are we all done? Okay, what have we got over here? We've got F. Close, yes. What have we got? G. G. Lots of horses in this room. G. G. All right, okay. All right, G. All right, this one. Come on. G. B. Okay, G definitely, correct. It's the one thing that suppliers do not want to tell the buyer exactly what the yield is. Because when you tell the yield, you're giving away how much it costs you to make something. You're giving away how much improvement you can make. Because if the buyer knows you can improve 10%, they'll want to share in that improvement. You with me here? One group said, tooling costs. Correct. You remember from the 3rd week, we talked about this. Tooling costs. What was the thing we learnt in 3rd week? Let's bring this home, guys, girls. What is the big thing we learnt in week 3 about tooling costs?
It's really hard to measure.
It's hard to measure. You can figure out labour, you can figure out materials, but that tooling, okay? All right, the tooling costs, okay? So this is capital investment. The yield, that is production efficiency, both very, very, very good. Okay, so how does Apple manage that? How do you think Apple manages the yield? I asked this engineer that works with the procurement team, how do you manage the yield? Because I said to him, when I asked this question, is there one thing the supplier can hide from you? And his response is, sorry, we know everything. And I'm thinking, I don't believe you. No, he said, here at Apple, we know everything about our suppliers. And then he proceeded to tell me that every supplier that supplies Foxconn, Apple controls the materials that are sent to Foxconn. Okay? So I want you to think about it. Here's the process. There's the black box. That's the supplier. All right? Apple controls the materials going in to that assembly. Apple knows what is coming out. Do you think Apple does not know what the yield is? Like that's the difference between input and output. Am I right? All right? Because they know the inputs, they can figure out the yield very easy. How do they control the inputs? Well, they have the power because material suppliers want to work with Apple. And Apple said, yeah, on one condition, okay? We control your shipments to Foxconn. We tell you when you ship. We tell you how much you ship. Wow. They have that much control? Yes, they do. Amazing. All right. So let's keep going. That was number 7. All right. Interactive. Number 8 is the following. Remember I told you, and you tell me if you remember this example. Remember once Apple was putting the TFT, where is our glass? Where's our glass? Have we got it here? Here we go. They were putting the glass and the TFT module together. All right, that's it. And it got to the end of the assembly and it started frosting over. Did I tell you about that? No? Oh, this happened in the Foxconn plant. They stick in the Gorilla Glass and there's a TFT module that goes onto the glass, okay? This thing here with electronics, okay? All right? And so after they were putting it together, they found, there was a little cloud starting to form here. Like when it was assembled on the iPhone, and the iPhone's come off the assembly line, and there's a little cloud. And it took them 2 weeks to figure out what happened. And what happened was that when the Gorilla Glass is delivered, notice there's a little bit of plastic to protect the glass in transit. See that? Can you see that? All right. And so there's a little bit of adhesive. You touch it. Can you feel it? All right. A little bit of adhesive there. Then that was reacting with the chemical they were using to stick the glass to the TFT. And the two chemicals reacted together and created a little frosty cloud in the glass. It took them 2 weeks to solve that problem. 2 weeks, right? So I'm not saying that Apple doesn't have problems, okay? Any manufacturer has problems, always troubleshooting, okay? But they control a lot of things. They control the whole supply chain. Wow, so that's number 8. Number 9, remember we've got 14 items, then we're done. Okay, all right, so Apple goes to, by the way, what are these? Ginny, don't say anything, all right? This is, we've already given them a hint. Let's just see if they can, what are these? Pardon? Inductors, exactly. Someone's listening. Fantastic. Okay, these are inductors, all right? So Apple goes to 3L coils, and it's often in this electronics industry that every 3 months they want to cost down by 5%. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Supplier, can you give us lower price, 5% lower? 3 months later, 5% lower. 3 months later, 5%. Look, you've got to help us, Mr. Supplier, because when we go into the market and we sell these phones, we have to cut the price ourselves. Apple may not be cutting, but all the other manufacturers, brand names are cutting. And anyway, so the owner of 3L Coils goes back to Apple and says, nope, we make the best inductors in the world. We're not dropping our price. And here is why. Because here is from my scorecard, we have invested in our production operations. We have made our own improvements, and this is why we cannot give that cost down. And Apple, okay, let's negotiate a lower cost down amount. Wow, can you do that against powerful Apple? Like 3L Coils is just an inductor manufacturer. You'd think that market forces will make them, well, they've just got to say yes. Like inductors are generic components. They are not, they're not special. They're nothing special. But here's the owner of 3L Coils, the inductor manufacturer, and it's the owner's mindset saying, no. Maybe generic, but we make the best inductors in the world. Our inductors will still be working 10 years later in your product, even though the phone will be thrown away anyway. All right, okay, so evidence of pushback. I did find that when I was talking to some of the suppliers. Yes, you can push back if you can defend why you cannot do a 5% cost down, because we are investing in these operations. We are investing in improving our technology. Technology? You mentioned the T word? Yeah, okay, Mr. Supplier, fine. All right? So you can have that conversation with a powerful buyer, but you need to back it up with evidence of your investment. Wow, is it all like that? It's that plus more. Let's keep moving. Let's go to number 10. What is number 10? Did you all like the question about this in the quiz? Did you like the questions I put in about this? Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Next week. Okay. Just stirring you up here. All right. Okay. So you know what this is? Do you know what this is? It's a copy. It's a copy. This isn't the real deal. Okay. It's a copy. How do you make a copy phone? You go and get all of the components, even from Samsung. And MediaTek is a big manufacturer of components that go into copy phones. MediaTek, Taiwanese company. And just put it all together. And you get the cheapest battery ever. Okay, let's keep moving here. All right, number 10. We want to go to number 10 here. Number 10. With how Apple selects and manages its suppliers. Here we are. Okay, I want to tell you another story. How many of you have an iPad? Anyone have an iPad? No, not here, but you. Do you know what an iPad is? Yes. Okay. Hey, we've got to start somewhere, all right? Okay, all right, we've got some Apple people here. Okay, all right. So the iPad, when the iPad 2 came out, the iPad mini came out, Apple went to Foxconn and said to Foxconn, how much can, bill of materials, how much can you assemble and make the iPad mini for me? Foxconn came to Apple and said, we can make it for so much. Then Apple went to Pegatron. How many of you know Pegatron? By the way, Foxconn is a spin-off from, I think, Acer. Pegatron is a spin-off from Asus, the computer here. All right? Okay, both Taiwanese spin-offs. Pegatron is like Foxconn, but a little bit smaller. They have operations in China and Taiwan. So Apple goes to Pegatron. We want you to make the iPad mini for us. Pegatron gives a quotation. Which one was higher, Foxconn's quotation or Pegatron's quotation? Come on, guys. Hands up for Foxconn. Come on, this is strategy. This is negotiation. When we've got 10 minutes left, and then I'm done. Okay, so just stay with me here. All right. So they went to Foxconn, and they went to Pegatron. Okay. That one's no good too. Okay. So, Ginny, you've got to help me here. Have we got any more? Huh? Thank you. Foxconn and Pegatron. So, which one gave the lower quotation to Apple for the iPad mini? You know the iPad mini when it first came out? Okay, which one gave a lower quotation? Hands up for Foxconn. The lower quotation. Hands up for Pegatron. Okay, which one got the contract for the iPad mini? Hands up for Pegatron. Hands up for Foxconn. Wrong. So, Pegatron gave a higher cost to Apple. Why did Apple choose Pegatron over Foxconn that provided a lower cost to make the iPad mini? Why?
It was more durable?
No, same. Apples, exactly the same. Why? Foxconn was much lower price, but Apple chose Pegatron. Why?
Automation, maybe?
Same. Everything's the same. Why? Starts with C. Competition. That's all. That's all. You see, Apple was looking past the first order, the first version. Apple's looking second, third, fourth. What happened to the supplier? Remember which group did the comparison of the audit? Who did the audit comparison? Which group? Not PQI, no, the audit comparison. Yes. Remember the smartphone, remember the picture frame audit? Did you do that? Yeah, look, they're alive here. Fantastic. All right, love you back there. Okay, so what happened then? What happened, in my case, my buyer, they paid $23 a unit. What happened the second time? Went up 26. What happened the third time? Went up to 28. All right. So what did we learn from that? Never ever trust the first order. Okay, all right. So exactly why Apple chose Pegatron. Why? If they went with Foxconn, then Foxconn could go to Apple and say, oh, we want a higher price. Then Apple doesn't have an alternative to go to. So Apple created competition by going to Pegatron for the iPad mini. Wow. Doesn't say that on the iPad mini made by Pegatron. Let's keep going. That's number 10. Quick. We want to move on and we go to information asymmetry. Okay. How do you deal with information asymmetry? Remember, we're trying to deal with yield, all right, because that's what suppliers don't want to share with you. So how do you combat that yield? How do you combat that information? One way is to vertically integrate, okay? Remember, information asymmetry is the big thing. The big thing. Quick. What's the problem? IA, not AI, IA, all right? Information asymmetry, that means there's no balance of information. Someone knows more than someone else, okay? The supplier knows more than you. That's a problem. How do you deal with that? Okay, you can vertically integrate. That is, you take over the supplier of the supplier. You control the materials going to the supplier. You control the inputs. You get the outputs, so then you know their yield. Okay. What's another way of dealing with that information asymmetry problem? This is a big problem in global supply chain management. And all of you need to know, fundamentally, information asymmetry is probably the biggest challenge in global supply chain management. Okay? Vertically integrate, or what can you do? What else can you do? Yes, but a safer way is to multi-source, yes. You multi-source, you have more than one supplier. So one supplier says to me, oh, I can do 85% yield. Another supplier says, I'm doing 75. And so Apple will go to the other supplier, oh, Mr. Supplier, you think you can try this? We want to get you from 75 to 85. How do they know they can do that? Why? Because supplier number one is already doing it that way. And so then Apple starts managing the suppliers and comparing them off each other. So they know if one supplier is BSing Apple. That's how they deal with that. How do you deal with information asymmetry? Vertically integrate, that is, you own the inputs, or you have more than one supplier. Wow. Amazing. Exciting. All right? So that is number 11. Number 12 is the following. Number 12, someone mentioned it. This table here. Don't forget, what did you say? The M word. Monitoring, exactly. Monitor. You have monitoring. How does Apple monitor its people? How? They have, what have we got? 800 plus technical engineers in China. Employed by Apple, not employed by Foxconn. They do everything. They do everything. Okay? Monitoring costs money. Okay, so Apple's controlling vertical integration, they're multi-sourcing, and also got technical engineers. Wow. Does it get even more control? How many of you would like to be a supplier for Apple? Anyone? Like, it's like complete control, you know? Like, it's worse than this class, you know? Complete control, you know? Over you. You cannot even look this way or that way, all right? Just look at that test. Don't look anywhere else. Okay. Number 13. Number 13. Okay, we're nearly there. Early field failure analysis. Ginny knows all about this when you're dealing with your robots, right, Ginny? Early field failure. What it is when they put a new product into the market, they focus on feedback in that first 5 days into the market, because they want to know the failures immediately, not a month later. They want to know days later when a product goes to market. Why? Because they fix it early before millions more go into the market. Okay, that's called early field failure analysis. Okay, so that's on the market side. They even do that. Okay, that's number 13, and the final part. Because you remember what happened was, remember the case back in 2011, 2012, someone posted a YouTube video, it was in their jean pocket, they sat down and it bent, all right? And so what did Apple do? Well, they invested a lot in testing the phone and make sure that it didn't bend. And then they used that in publicity to say, look, you know, we're looking into this, we want to solve this and make sure it doesn't happen, you get a bad phone, things like that. Okay. Finally, last but not least, what do you think is the most, so far, the big theme of what I told you about, 13 items, is all about the C word. What do we mean by the C word? C stands for? Control, yes. They just control everything. Just control everything, all right? Okay, you look that way, I make you look that way. Look that way, okay, all right? Control everything. You cannot even do anything that Apple doesn't know about. All right? Now, but here's one thing that still is challenged by Apple. Remember, 1.5 million people work in Apple's supplier factories in China. Other countries too. This is not just Apple in China. There's problems in India, Bangladesh. You know, global supply chains have this challenge in a lot of developing countries, okay? Not just China here. Underage worker, okay? Underage workers is quite common. And I was talking to my engineer friend at Apple, and he even told me that he's been on a factory floor and he saw workers, and are they really 18? They look 16, they look 15 to me, but you just don't ask questions. Okay? That happens. Still happening today. Yes. Okay. And then there's environmental pollution, that there's more NGOs that are questioning Apple, and so Apple is partnering with NGOs to make sure that their global supply chain is more transparent with respect to the social and the environmental. And that's a force coming from NGOs, not from the market competition or anything like that. Okay, so there's 14 items to give you insights into how does Apple